Brand new for the 2024 Braves Country Radio broadcast season. Along with pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play, the classic call of Braves Country Baseball, we will bring you a live pregame show and postgame show. Phone lines wide open for you to call, react, or ask your questions along with the chat. That's Braves Country today pregame, Braves Country tonight postgame. We'll see you in 2024. Hey, Braves Country, this is Mac McGee with Braves Country Radio. We are bringing you pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play of your Atlanta Braves all year long. Please like and subscribe today. It's free, and it helps us bring you more of the game we all love. Braves Country Radio, your home for the classic call, Braves Country Baseball.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today, Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country Baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey, Braves Country, this is Mac McGee with Braves Country Radio. We are bringing you pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play of your Atlanta Braves all year long. Please like and subscribe today. It's free, and it helps us bring you more of the game we all love. Braves Country Radio, your home for the classic call, Braves Country Baseball.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Brand new for the 2024 Braves Country Radio broadcast season. Along with pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play, the classic call of Braves Country Baseball, we will bring you a live pregame show and postgame show. Phone lines wide open for you to call, react, or ask your questions along with the chat. That's Braves Country today pregame, Braves Country tonight postgame. We'll see you in 2024.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grab it out there. Nobody tackle. Just grab it, everybody. Grab, grab, grab. Nobody tackle.
Welcome to Goal to Go, your sports betting home. Welcome in. Joey Areola. How the hell are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's been a while. It's good to be back on the Armchair Quarterbacks, which is now goal to go for today. It's a great new thing we got going for these 4 teams in 2 games. Amped to be back. It's been a while, but we're here and we're better than ever, baby. Glad you're doing better too.
We're going to be going on for the NFC Championship game, the AFC Championship game, Super Bowl futures, prop bets. We're going to be talking about teasers, over-unders, and even get into a little college basketball betting today. This show has been rebranded, restructured. Long story short, in 2024, we are all or nothing in the sports betting world. That's it. We're done. We're done doing all the other stuff that we have done in the past. We're kind of filler, and then we eventually get to the sports betting. What we have figured out, what we have looked upon, and the radio stations that want to carry us, is that there is very little sports betting content for free on places like YouTube. They all have paywalls. I was looking at it yesterday. I was in a meeting with the guys, and they were going over different outlets, and like, dude, every single one of them have paywalls, and your winning percentage has been higher over the last 8 years. So why the hell are we not just going all in, putting all our chips in on the sports betting? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a lot of fun. Realize 9 times out of the 10, I'm going to be referencing the Hard Rock Bet app that is now live in Florida. Now, as other betting apps come in, we will add them to it. We also do a little on Bovada, and that is because they have a little more that you can actually bet on, as opposed to Hard Rock Bet is still kind of evolving. So you'll hear some of these things, but we will reference where we're looking at on the market. But essentially, Hard Rock Bet is essentially Caesar. It's usually about the same number. But yeah, I appreciate it. But for folks who missed it, I had COVID, man. It kicked me in the ass. It was bad.
COVID won the battle, but you won the war, baby. That's what we're going with for that one.
Let's hope so, man. I mean, that was an absolute butt kicker. Still little under the weather as far as not feeling 100%, but I'd say I'm about 95%. Probably a little better than what Debo is right now.
Luckily, it wasn't Brave season either when this happened. I mean, it's never good.
God,
it's never good to have it, but if you had it,
I know. I was thinking about that when this happened. I was like, thank God it's not baseball season, because there's no way I could be doing the play-by-play. I mean, you can probably hear that my voice is still a little hoarse. I got it. What is today? 11 days ago, and I'm still feeling it. My wife contracted about 5 days before, and she's pretty much good now, but I'm still feeling a little under the weather as we speak. Tone should be jumping in here in any minute. When that happens, I'm gonna start sharing it to all the different outlets. I feel like I can't have you just ride solo while I'm trying to share it to all the different outlets that I need to share it to. I was hoping he would be here on time. But anyways, how have you been, sir?
And I've been doing good. I mean, it's been a while since we've been here, right? But I did just want to give a quick shout out to obviously I'm a Colts fan. The Colts season, it was a fun one. Unfortunately,
all did well, man.
Yeah, sadly we came up short to CJ Stroud, but we don't have our young phenom QB. They did, and CJ is going to be in this division. I don't know the rest of the.
He's going to be a problem.
Yes, he is. And it's going to be for many years. I honestly don't even mind saying this, and I know this might be premature to say, but I already think he might be the best quarterback in the division after a rookie season. Now,
I think he is.
Yeah.
I think definitely talent-wise, if nothing else, he is. One game, everything being even, would you rather have him or Trevor Lawrence? It's a toss-up.
It's close.
It's really close, but I think before it's all said and done, he will be the best in the division. I mean, I think there's a good argument that by the end of next year, that Jacksonville may have the worst quarterback in the division.
Potentially, that's how crazy that AFC South is with all these young quarterbacks, right? I mean, Tennessee now, Brian Callahan, for those who really don't know or aren't Bengals fans, this guy was interviewed last year a lot for head coaching jobs. He was the top 5 candidate for many, many teams, but it seemed to be a year too early. Now it feels like they got their guy, they got their offensive coordinator, and they'll be able to work with Will Levis. Or if they really wanted to, they could go crazy in the draft. They have a first-round pick, so the Titans have a lot of options on the table as well to make things interesting next season.
Yeah, they are. I think they're going to be with Will Levis and the new coach coming in. I'm going to give Rand Carthen a chance. I still think it was a terrible job by Amy Adams to fire Vrabel. I think they're going to regret that long term, but maybe I'm wrong. I think Vrabel is going to land on his feet somewhere. Wherever he goes, I'm going to be pulling for him.
Absolutely.
But he didn't do anything that warranted being fired. I'll put it that way. He didn't do anything that warranted being fired, because their problems that they've had the last couple of years have not been from coaching. It's been from the roster.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not going to put that all on Rand Carthen, but I think what essentially happens is a GM comes in and they want to handpick their guy. And that's why you're going to have the problem. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Harbaugh. You did notice that they hired Harbaugh, and now they're going to go find their GM, which means that GM is going to have to work in concert with Harbaugh. Tones, how are you, sir?
Good, brother. Glad to be back. Sorry I'm a few late. And yeah, I agree with you on Mike Vrabel 100%. And that's kind of the tough draw of the stick nowadays, being a defensive-minded head coach. He ran through 3 or 4 offensive coordinators, no fault to his own. They all got head coaching jobs elsewhere, starting with Art Smith. And, just terrible luck for Mike Vrabel. He'll land on his feet somewhere. I still think he's a really good coach in the National Football League.
And I'm going to tell you right now, someone who is a newly self-appointed Atlanta Falcons fan, but they should have hired Vrabel. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yes.
Dude, I'm sorry, nothing against Raheem Morris, but the guy was on the staff in Atlanta when Dan got canned. Was it 2-3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why would you bring someone in from a failed regime? It's not that he can't do the job, but this is what I feel like that entire thing comes down to. It was self-preservation. McKay and company don't want to lose their job, so they didn't want to bring in Belichick, because that's what Belichick was going to ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell Atlanta Falcon fans this. This is a new fan talking, so take it with a grain of salt. Arthur Blank is not serious about winning yet.
Mm-hmm.
When this crumbles, he's going to have to fire McKay, and then he can get serious. But you're wasting a window of a lot of really talented. If nothing else, I think they've got a good defensive core, and they've got a whole lot of talent at everywhere except the quarterback position on the offense.
And that's why that surprised me a little bit to go with Raheem Morris as well. I would have went Vrabel or Belichick, because those veteran guys are going to go in, get you a great offensive-minded coordinator, and really help develop that position. Now you got a defensive-minded head coach in Raheem Morris. I know he was an offensive assistant at times, but his main thing is defense. And as you alluded to, McGee, he ran his course in Atlanta. He was in Dan Quinn's staff. He actually was the interim head coach to end that season. Anytime you go from head coach to somewhere else back to head coach, it's really a tough transition. I love Raheem. I think he was deserving of another job in the NFL. I just don't see him in the Falcons as a great fit. I think he could have been better elsewhere, and I think Falcons could have done better. But I'm happy for him, and he's a hell of a guy, so I'm interested to see how he does.
All right, we move on from that. Looking at the betting market going into today, you've got right now, most books have San Francisco -7. Some of them are at -7.5. Depends on on what book you're on. The over/under is pretty steady at 51.5. And then on the Kansas City Baltimore side, you got the over-under sitting at about 44.5 and -4 Baltimore. That is actually creeped up. Are y'all not a little surprised that this is creeped up in favor of Baltimore to -4? I thought it would actually go towards Kansas City.
Yeah, you think, I guess Swifties don't bet, right? Because if the Swifties were putting money on the game, that line probably would have drove towards KC. But I feel like a lot of people are getting fooled. They keep saying, well, Kansas City wasn't that great this year, this and that. And then they beat Miami. And then, last week they go into Buffalo and win. I do think it's Lamar Jackson's time, but I'm absolutely surprised that the line has shifted towards Baltimore more so, if anything.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's interesting too because Kansas City, I'm not saying they're exactly the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick Patriots yet, but you have Andy Reid, you have Patrick Mahomes. To me, that's 2 Hall of Famers and 2 of the top 5 of all time in their position/coaching ranks. And if you're getting 3.5 to 4 points now, I don't care. It's on the road. It's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes after everyone talked about him all week. First road game, he goes into Buffalo and they win that football game. Now Baltimore, it's interesting because Lamar Jackson's playoff resume is very poor. Sometimes people ignore that, but Lamar Jackson's playoff history is actually worse than Josh Allen. So I'm interested to see if Lamar Jackson in this playoff game can step up. I'll be rooting for him, but it's going to be tough against one of the best of all time at QB and coach.
We do want to make sure that we say hello to see Robert and Underwater. Underwater, I ain't seen Underwater in a while. We must be getting close to baseball season. All right, so as we go along here, if one of y'all can just kind of put the lines in the chat as we talk about them, it'd be greatly appreciated. I've got 19 screens open, and I feel like I would accidentally set off a Scud missile somewhere if I start trying to type as well. But right now, what I'm looking at, and I'm going off of the Hard Rock, it's usually, I know you guys are in a different state, but it's usually pretty close to what you see on ESPN. If it's off by a touch, definitely let me know. But it's usually that's where we're sitting at. But right now on the Hard Rock bet, we're looking at -4 Baltimore over under 44.5. And on the Hard Rock, it's +7.5 Detroit, and the over under is now 52. So people are really jumping in on this. Now I want to throw something out here, y'all. Get y'all's take on this. So, I'm always looking at the weather aspect when you go into these games. And I looked at it yesterday. I'm going to double check it today. But I've been looking at this all week long. And I want to make sure that I'm speaking accurately because you know how weather forecasts can change. But Baltimore, tomorrow, and we can finally get to the hourly, which is really where I was wanting to get to. They are expecting some pretty challenging weather. It's going to start raining tonight is what's being forecast. Pretty heavy downpour around midnight. And that is going to continue all the way with what is expected anywhere between 50. Let me see what's the highest percentage. I'm sorry. 62% at kickoff with a high of about 50 degrees. And then if you take it all the way to the end of the game, 46 degrees and about 73%. So they're expecting rain and pretty cool temperatures. Not what you consider super cold, but when you combine 40 degrees with the rain, that ball can get slippery. Funny things can happen, right? Conversely,
rain makes things slippery and tricky.
Yeah, so conversely, out in the 49ers game, I mean, they're not expecting any precipitation and a high of about 70. We're talking about two different games here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's why I'm looking at the under in the first game and the over in the second game, and almost kind of like the idea of teasing both of them, because 52 points is a lot of points in an NFL football game.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder if the trend that's been all year long, which has been that you have to look at the prime time games have not hit the overs. would y'all consider 6:30 the primetime game, right? It's like
Yep.
right there in the middle.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I hate taking the under in anything that Patrick Mahomes is involved in, right? You're going to be sitting there on eggshells, just freaking, oh God, knifing through. But let's go ahead and talk about that first game. And we are going to talk a little college basketball in the last segment of this hour. So, guys, keep that in mind when we go to our next break. You might want to pull up those numbers as well, see if there's anything that you like. But let's get to the first game. The first game, Kansas City, Baltimore, -4, like we talked about. The over-unders either 51.5 or I'm sorry, over-unders either 44.5. It's pretty steady at that, keeping it under the magic number of 45. I feel like it's a trap. I think they're trying to get people to go, well, man, they can get to 45 points, right? That's 24-21. And it just feels like this is a trap written all over it. Tones, what say you on this?
Yeah, I could see it being a trap for sure. It's tough where I lean, but prime time. I think 49ers are due to beat up on someone, though. I really do. And for that reason, I'm going to lean the tea leaf with the 49ers a little bit. Give me the Niners over. And quite frankly, I think it's their time to come out on fire today and really set the
let's talk about the Kansas City-Baltimore game first.
I'm taking the Ravens in that one. I know it feels like a trap game, but I think it's Lamar's time as well. Give me the Ravens in that one.
Would you be willing to lay the -4, or are you going to, take less of a value and either do money line or?
I'm going to be a chicken. I'm going to be a chicken and probably bump it to -1 and see if that line is okay to win some money back. Because that's my little trick. Instead of going complete money line, I usually try and look for the -1 bump down because you still win a little more money back. And odds are, playoffs can't end in a tie. So if, the Ravens win by 1 and I push and I get my money back, I'm okay with that. But I'm going to try and personally bump the Ravens to -1.
Right there, right now, that's showing to be a -190, which isn't a great take, but I understand why you think Baltimore is going to win, but you're not willing to bet whether or not they're going to lose. That's why I think a lot of the sharp money is going to go in on Kansas City +4, because you're obviously going to win a lot more money if you go on the traditional line. What are you more intrigued to do? Take the +4 or take Baltimore on, we'll just say, the money line?
I'm going to go with Baltimore on the money line just because I think Baltimore is going to win the game. So I think it's going to be by less than 4, but no guarantees to that. We could see something tricky. So just because I think Baltimore is going to win the game, I'll go with the money line. That's a safer play for me.
Joey, what say you?
Yeah, my heart, and of course, always wants to go with the Baltimore Ravens because I always want a Newton matchup and not see the Chiefs anymore. But like I said, when you keep seeing that 4-point spread, it's gone up from 3.5 now. It's really tough not to take the defending champs in the Kansas City Chiefs. The last time these two teams played, it was in September 19th of 21. Both quarterbacks played. It was a 36-35 finish in Baltimore. Ravens won a high-scoring battle there. So the weather's going to be much worse. What does that mean to me, and where am I getting to on this point? The weather was perfect that day. When the weather is not perfect, Mahomes has found a way to bounce around and make it happen still. You see that many times along his career. Lamar Jackson, even though it was a rain game last week with C.J. Stroud, the first half was a little bit scary. Finally, the Ravens found their groove in that second half. If Lamar Jackson commits a turnover, this is going to be tough for them to overcome. To me, the Chiefs do not really turn the ball over with Patrick Mahomes as much as I want to take the Ravens, I'll probably bet my heart with them. But if I'm trying to tell people a smart pick, it'd be very, very foolish to me not to take the 4 points in the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, that's where I'm late. So full disclosure, I had 2 tickets that I picked in very early January before the playoffs started. I had one for Baltimore to get to win the conference. The other one for San Francisco to win the conference, and they'll both pay out. I believe one was a plus 180 and the other one was plus 135, I think is what it was. So respectively, what I've done is I've gone back and hedged my bet. When you get the two teams at the championship game, you'd be foolish not to go and hedge your bet. So I took Kansas City and Detroit on two separate tickets on the money line, right? Because you're going to get more value. You don't have to bet as much. So I'm going to make something off of this. I'm still going to be pulling for my Baltimore and San Francisco tickets because I didn't go so far over where I was just going to break even on whichever bet. But I wanted to make sure I got some money back on this. One of the telling things here, so I'm looking at the touchdown props. The over-under touchdowns is 4.5. Over under 4.5, right? And so when you play that out, you're basically saying that, and the over is minus 180. So they believe there's going to be 5 touchdowns scored. So you're talking about 35 points. To get to that next level of the 44.5, you either have to get a 6th touchdown and a field goal, or somehow 4 more field goals play in. But what the books are telling you is they expect about 5 touchdowns to be scored. Because if you take the under, it's plus 135. So they don't believe it's. But once again, I haven't heard anybody talk about this at all this week, but the weather's going to be an issue. There's no way you can't. When you're passing the ball in the rain at 40-degree weather, it's got to be an issue. It's got to be.
And let's face it, who does that advantage simply come down to? It has to be Patrick Mahomes. Even disregard weapons aside, because both teams' weapons are a little shaky, even though it is good to see Baltimore get Mark Andrews back. But how good and up to speed will he be from being out for a while? It comes down to the quarterback. And as much as I want the Ravens and want Lamar Jackson to overcome this and get to the Super Bowl, it's hard to get bet against Patrick Mahomes at day's end.
Yeah, I don't know if it. I think it's going to benefit the team that can run the ball the most, don't you?
Yeah, and look at Pacheco. I mean, he's been on one this playoff. Now, the Ravens have been doing some good things as well, but a guy like Pacheco has really stepped up. I was looking at his over-under at about, I think I could have sworn I saw maybe 60.5. I have to go back and look at that. But Pacheco's been running like wild. I think he's averaging 97 yards on the ground this playoff.
All right, let's take a real quick break. When we come back, Doug's going to jump on, and we are going to talk about the prop bets of this game, Baltimore, Kansas City, and we've got NFC Championship talk right around the corner. We'll be back in a flash.
Ooh.
Brand new for the 2024 Braves Country Radio broadcast season, along with pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play, the classic call of Braves Country Baseball, we will bring you a live pregame show and postgame show. Phone lines wide open for you to call, react, or ask your questions along with the chat. That's Braves Country today pregame, Braves Country tonight postgame. We'll see you in 2024. Hey, Braves Country, this is Mac McGee with Braves Country Radio. We are bringing you pitch by pitch, play by play of your Atlanta Braves all year long. Please like and subscribe today. It's free, and it helps us bring you more of the game we all love. Braves Country Radio, your home for the classic call of Braves Country Baseball.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today, Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey, Braves Country, this is Mac McGee with Braves Country Radio. We are bringing you pitch by pitch, play by play of your Atlanta Braves all year long. Please like and subscribe today. It's free, and it helps us bring you more of the game we all love. Braves Country Radio, your home for the classic call of Braves Country baseball.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Brand new for the 2024 Welcome back. Red Raider Doug, how are you, sir?
Doing good, doing good. Question is, how you been lately?
Man, I'm hanging in there, man.
I hear you.
12-round bout with COVID, but oof. I wouldn't recommend it. That is a ripper. Oh, man. For people who think this strand might be lesser than, you are wrong, sir. You are wrong. There's a couple of times where we really thought I might have been heading to the hospital. We got right on that where your fever sitting there at over 103, and you're like, man, if it goes any higher, I got to go. Like, this is getting bad. But somehow, some way, found a way to fight it off, and here we go again.
Well, I took that prop bet. The over and under wouldn't be more than 104. So.
Well, you almost lost your ass on it. And your reward would have been pallbearer. Okay. Well, Doug, we've been talking about the Kansas City-Baltimore game real quick before we get into the prop bets on this. Kansas City is getting the over-under is 44.5. They're expecting rain all during the game. They're expecting pretty chilly temperatures into the 40s. What's your lean on this one?
Like you were all saying earlier, and I had the same conclusion, is I had Baltimore winning this game. I mean, I personally want Baltimore to win this game, but I just have this sneaky feeling. It's why I took Kansas City, the +4, to try to maybe make any money. I mean, the money line, and also with that money line, I was debating it back and forth, but I think if you're going to make any money or anything, I'm taking Kansas City +4.
What's really interesting to me, and I wish I would have waited, but I really thought this number was going to go towards Kansas City and not towards Baltimore. The money line is now plus 175 at Kansas City.
Yeah.
That is a high money line for the Chiefs.
About as high as it gets for them.
Yeah.
And if it continues at that rate, there's a good chance I'm going to put another small bet on top of it as well. But man, they plus 175 for the Chiefs. And you realize Patrick Mahomes has been in the AFC Championship game every year of his career since he's been a starter.
Yeah, last week against Buffalo was his first road playoff game, not counting Super Bowls. I mean, that's incredible. His first road playoff game, he was taken in the 2017 NFL draft, and the first road playoff game comes in 2023. That's insane.
And something has to be said for just having the experience of being in these games. I felt like that if you watch that Baltimore-Houston game, the first half, they looked very tight. Now, hopefully they've gotten all that out of their system, right? But they looked very tight. Now, they ended up rolling Houston in the second half, and I never felt like Houston was going to win that game. They couldn't really get anything going offensively. But when you have the goofy things like a punt return for a touchdown, you're like, uh-oh. Here we go. It's going to be one of these games, man. The overall feeling with me is, and I'll tell you something else that I don't like about this line. So Baltimore has traditionally played very good first halves, which is why the game against the Texans was so surprising. Normally, if the line is 4, the over-under at halftime would be 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's 3. So I hate that value because I can easily see this being a field goal game at the half.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that.
And it's
the line on that one sucks too. It's a minus 200. So for folks who may be new to sports betting, essentially, if you bet $100, you're only going to win 50, which is, obviously it's terrible math, right? You feel safer, and a lot of people do bet that way, but in the long run, you're not going to make the money that the sharps are going to make. Let's talk about some of the prop bets. Joey, I'll let you lead this off. What's one of your favorite prop bets that you're looking at in this game?
Yeah, we kind of talked about how running the ball is going to be a key factor, you and I earlier, and I truly believe that will be the case again. And a guy like I mentioned, Pacheco over-under right now is, when I looked into it yesterday, it was about 63.5 rushing yards. Like I said, he did 97 against Buffalo and 89 against Miami. So the Chiefs have won in this playoffs due to their running game being able to be more than efficient. You go back to a month ago when they were losing to the Raiders on Christmas Day, everyone thought the Chiefs were falling apart. They really couldn't get anything going offensively, but this running game starting playoff time has taken over. So I like Isaiah Pacheco to go over that 63.5 is one of my great plays in that one.
Over 63.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Tones, what say you?
Yeah, I don't mind that one. I think it's going to be a ground and pound battle, and Pacheco probably the best running back in that matchup. But I'm going to look to the other side here. I'm going to look to keep it on the ground here on the other side, given the Ravens side of things. They're a run-first team, and I like a bet that provides run-first dividends if possible. I know it's only plus 123, but I like Gus Edwards' odds and to get into the end zone in this one. I think Gus Edwards ultimately scores a touchdown on the ground for the Ravens. Again, the Chiefs' defense, pass defense in particular, has been really good this season. And Ravens are more known for keeping the ball on the ground. And Justice Hill isn't their goal line guy. I know they have Dalvin Cook now, but let's be honest, he's more of a touch and go type of guy, not going to be a goal line carrier. I'd look for Gus Edwards to make his way into the end zone. And I see that at plus 123 right now. To me, that's pretty good value for Edwards to get a touchdown. And he could still catch a touchdown and you get paid as well. I just think it comes via the ground.
Doug, what's your favorite prop on this one?
Actually, my favorite prop is going with this game today also because of the weather. Baltimore's got the number one rushing offense, and that's mostly, we've been talking about Mahomes. My favorite, and it's a very simple prop bet, is Lamar Jackson has more than 65 yards rushing, and an offense that's been the number one rushing offense in football this year.
Plus 63. Okay. So I've got another one that I'm going to share in the second hour, but off of this game, one of the ones that I like the most on this is if you go to Lamar Jackson, if you look at his passing numbers, let's see, what are we showing on this particular board right now? The passing numbers on the quarterback passing, Lamar Jackson's over under passing yards is 210. And that's for a minus 115 payout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If you take this up a notch, I'm going to say Lamar Jackson minus 179, under 179 yards passing. He has only reached this a few times.
Mm.
You get a plus 205 payout.
Ooh.
And that's my favorite prop bet of this game, is that you take Lamar Jackson, because I think they're going to run the ball. I don't think you're going to have a whole hell of a lot of passing on their side. They're going to try to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. It's going to be a ground and pound type game. He's going to take his shots, but that Kansas City secondary is pretty darn good, and I don't think he's going to beat them deep. And I think it's more of dink and dunk, keep them more honest than anything else. And if you can get under 179, you get a 205. I know it's a little risky, but that's my favorite prop bet.
It's a little bit risky. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go on, Doug. I just was saying I like it. I think it's a good one.
Oh, no, I agree. I like it too. And just to put an exclamation point, one of the weaknesses of this Kansas City defense is their run defense. They're only 17th against the run. So what you're saying, actually, and especially with these weather conditions, that makes that bet even. I think it makes it a little less risky than you think.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And if look, let's be honest, if they can get the lead, they're going to take the air out of the ball. The only way he hits this number is if Kansas City jumps out in front and they have to throw, especially in the second half. But depending on your books, I mean, if you can get into your books and find first half passing props, the alternate passing props, some books have them, some books don't. I really like the first because I think they're going to try to come out and establish that running game and try to own the line of scrimmage and keep Patrick Mahomes in the field, that when he is on the field and he has the ball in his hands, you want him to feel like he's got to keep pushing, and that can put a lot of pressure on him because he doesn't have the Tyreek Hills anymore in his life. Travis Kelce is starting to age, but he has played well last 3 or 4 games. But I just, man, I'm not betting on some MVS to go out there and torch anybody nowadays. And I think you'll see it addressed in the offseason, but Kansas City's weapons in the passing game are not as abundant as they once were, which is why you're seeing so much Pacheco use.
Yeah, and on top of that, that's why rookie from SMU, Rashee Rice, has had the year he's had because, he was a highly touted pick, second rounder, but let's be honest, he wasn't supposed to be the focal point of the wide receiver core. And at this point, they're leaning on rookie Rashee Rice to make the moves in the wide receiving game. It's crazy.
Yeah. And he got banged up last week. So it looks like he's probably going to play. But what if he doesn't play? Or what if he isn't as good as he normally is? That could be a scary situation. Real quick before we go to the NFL, the NFC Championship game, anyone get any college basketball bets for today?
I do. I have Fairleigh Dickinson at home getting a point over Sacred Heart. Lock it in. Fairleigh Dickinson at home getting a point, taking on Sacred Heart. That's in the morning, I believe, 12 or 12:30 Eastern.
Yeah, and I'm going to go to the Big Ten. That's where I've been keeping my focus, of course, in this part of the country on the hoops early. A 3:00 start between the Indiana Hoosiers and Illinois Fighting Illini. I like the Hoosiers plus 14.5. That's a lot of points. Illinois is playing good basketball, but 14.5. Give me Indiana plus 14.5.
Trying to find the line on this game. Man, there are a lot of games on Saturday. It's so hard to. I believe it's a 2:00 game, so I'm trying to find the line on it. The Boise State game, I believe it's 2:00. I just want to get the updated line if anyone sees it. All right, I'll go to the app. Let me do this because I know I took it, so it's got to be in there somewhere. Let me see here. Boise State. What time is that game?
3:00. Yeah, you're right.
4:00.
Oh, 4:00. Sorry.
So Boise State, and do you see the line on it?
Minus 2.5 Boise State.
What's the money line?
Minus 110.
That can't be right.
No, minus 2.5. I'm trying to look for the money line. I saw something.
I'll find it. I got it pulled up. Let me see here. Man, they have really moved this thing around. All right, look.
Guessing minus 120-ish in that neighborhood.
What's that?
I'm assuming it's like minus 118 to 1.
They're minus 145 Boise State money line.
Okay, I was making sure it was underneath the minus 150 mark that we do.
It's minus 150.
Give me Boise State on the money line. Boise State money line. They're a much better team at home, and I really like that game. I've coupled it by itself and in a couple of parlays as well, but I really like that game. And Boise State, they are at home against number 18 Utah State, which is why that line is so small, because Utah with the ranking, it's just the natural reaction. Most folks are going to go, oh, you can't go by rankings in college basketball. I'm sorry, but it's just it's a crapshoot across the board. But that is the game that I like the most. By the way, Florida and Georgia play today at noon Eastern. One of my favorite little parlays to take if you want like just a teaser is that you take Florida on the money line. Man, that keeps growing. It's already at minus 370. When I took it was minus 325. But you take Florida on the money line, you couple of that with the BYU money line, and you'll get a payout at around minus 160-ish. Mm-hmm. It's not a great payout for a parlay, but it's one of the ones that I'm taking today.
Yeah, when I was looking at college basketball last night real quick, that line, that Florida-Georgia, was at like minus 6.5, minus 7. Today it's up to minus 8, minus 8.5. So a lot of people on Florida's bandwagon. I like that parlay. Keep an eye on the 2:00 game. Florida State has been playing much better basketball. I was about ready to write them off. I was about to just, we're not watching any more of this crap. Then about 3 weeks ago, they started playing much better. But that's not how the lines work. The lines don't go by how hot you've been. They're at home. They have been known to upset North Carolina and Duke many times over the years in Tallahassee. If it was in Chapel Hill, I wouldn't even touch it. But they're getting 7.5 points, and I think they can keep it pretty close. The big key to that is going to be whether or not their shots are falling. They've got better offensive players this year. They started off terrible at the beginning of the year. I mean, they lost games. They were blown out by Florida. They dropped a huge, 18-point lead against Georgia early on in the year and dropped a couple of just bummers. But the last few weeks, they've looked really, really good. So I'm riding Florida State plus that 7.5. I'm hoping it gets up to 8.5 is where I really want to see it jump in. But anytime you can get over 2 possessions, the team's at home and they're playing hot, it should be a fun game to watch. Mm-hmm. Especially in college basketball. In basketball in general, those home teams, even if they're a little worse or less superior, they always seem to pull it out or at least play very close.
All right, let's jump into the NFC Championship game, unless Doug's got a college basketball pick. Doug, I know I didn't send that out in the email, so I kind of dropped that on in the last second.
Let us proceed to the NFC game.
Fair enough. I knew that Joey and Tones are always betting on the college basketball market, so I didn't worry about that.
Tones usually hangs out in Division 2 and Division 3, so we can count on that bet.
Hey, everybody's tournament eligible, baby. This ain't college football. This ain't college football where you get, your Temples and your Toledos. No,
I'm just saying, I heard you say third.
This is big boy basketball.
Yeah, this is college basketball where the deserving teams get into the playoffs, right? not the you got to put Alabama in. Oh, wait a minute, they got dragged. We got to put Texas in. Oh, they got dragged.
Yeah, there's actually parameters in college basketball. You actually earn the playoff opportunity.
Well, you have to put Washington in. Oh, they got dragged. I will never be over that, and I will tell you right now.
I don't blame you.
Right now, the only team that could have beaten that team, that asterisk Michigan championship team, is Florida State because of the defense. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have won a high-scoring game. It would have been like a 17-13 type of game, but they could have beaten them.
Honestly, if Florida played all their guys, which I don't blame them 1 second for how they handled that whole thing after getting the screw job they did, but I think that would have been like a national championship game, Florida State.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed they didn't play it, but I understood why.
I totally get it.
You know what I mean? Like, why are you playing in a meaningless bowl game to get injured and hurt your draft stock? It was actually pretty irresponsible by Kirby Smart to have his starters in as long as he did. But all I can say about that is they're going to keep receipts, baby. And you're going to this playoff's getting expanded.
Yeah.
And you're going to run into Mike Norvell at the wrong time, my friend. And I guarantee you're going to get dragged on national television.
You know, it's beautiful, too, with the playoffs getting expanded. All of us should have a good chance of talking playoff college football through the month of December, January. All of our teams should be right there each and every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Florida State, if y'all haven't been paying attention, they've been dominating the transfer portal.
Yep.
They're number 3 right now in the country in the transfer portal, but number 1 per average player. They're getting 5 stars and 4 stars. They've taken 5 Alabama guys. Oh. And when I say they're keeping receipts, they're keeping receipts. They say, oh, okay. You want to steal the bid? We're just going to take your team. Isn't it funny that it took Alabama to get gutted by the transfer portal for all of a sudden the national pundits go, they've got to do something about this portal. It's getting out of control.
Yeah, like
it was fine when Alabama was cherry picking everybody.
Mm-hmm. You got that right. I mean, they're biased towards the SEC and they're biased towards Ohio State and Michigan. And if it's outside of that pool of teams, then you get treated at a disadvantage in college football.
Who lasts at his school longer, Jedd Fisch of Washington or Alabama's DeBoer?
Jedd Fisch. Jedd Fisch in a heartbeat. I love Jedd Fisch. I mean, he is an incredible coach, and he learned. I will
say one thing: he could leave after next year.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's kind of like getting a great offensive coordinator in football. You could hire him; they have a great year, then they're kind of in the stepping stone. But Jedd Fisch learned under the McVay tree, very knowledgeable, barely lost as a pro. I think Jedd Fisch not only, well, unless he gets plucked, Jedd Fisch should outlast him.
Do you know why I believe Jedd Fisch will be gone after next year?
Do you think Ohio State comes calling after they lose to Michigan?
Jedd Fisch's alma mater, anybody know?
Nope.
Dead Man Walking. Jedd Fisch graduated from the University of Florida in 1998. And there is no way on God's green earth that Billy Napier is keeping his job.
I don't see, unless they miraculously are in playoff contention. No, I don't see him keeping.
We don't have time to pull it up on this show, but maybe remind me for next one. Tones, go through Florida's schedule for 2024.
Mm-hmm.
It's so tough you would think that Florida State scheduled it for them. It's brutal. Their last 5 games alone, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. He's got to essentially be undefeated going into that to have any chance of keeping his job. And he's got to play Miami to start the beginning of the year. It's in Gainesville, but he's got to play the Hurricanes.
Yeah, well, he's looking like he's going to walk the plank.
And I'm not even, referencing teams he's had trouble with. Tennessee, Kentucky, all these teams are on their. They got to go to Knoxville. Yowza. Anyways, that's my prediction. I'm calling my shot right now. Jed Fish will be a Florida Gator. And I don't want to see it, but it's going to happen because he actually knows what the hell he's doing. All right. Let's go to what I'm hoping is he does so well, the Seattle freaking Seahawks grab him. Assuming that they have a coach by then. All right, let's get into this game. Doug, any prop bets that you like in this game?
I have one off the top of my head.
Lions 49ers, excuse me.
One prop bet I like is Sam Laporta, 10 catches, 50 plus yards in that game. And you could tease that lower too as part of and I wanted to ask a question too as far as prop bets. One thing I did last week since I've started to bet a little bit is I've been parlaying my in-game bets, stringing together like 3 or 4 in-game bets. And the payout was actually decent. And I just wanted to ask you guys, is that something you do? Or do you tend to stay away from that?
One of my favorite things to do on the in-game bets is college basketball.
Oh, okay.
Find a team that you like, right? A team that you like for that game. If they start off slow, you can usually get incredible odds. So, for instance, I'll give you an example. Last night I had Cal versus who are they playing? Stanford. They were a 2 to 2.5 point favorite. As opposed to taking Cal on the money line, I held it. I waited till close to halftime. They were down by it was either double digits or right outside 8 or 9 points at one point. I took Cal to win the game. At that point, it was plus 325. They came back and won the game by 2. So had I taken the money line, I would have made very little. Had I taken the point spread, I would have lost. But because I took them to win after they were down, I love that option. More so in basketball than I do in football because scoring doesn't go back and forth as much.
Okay, last week I just happened to hit a parlay on the Detroit's game last week, and I made a nice little bit of cash on it. I parlayed things like Laporta hit well last week and combined it with what's his name? Base quarterback had more than 300 yards passing because Detroit's defense is lousy against the pass, and combined several things like that. And I just made a little bit of cash on it. That's why I started doing that. I just wanted to know if that was worth it or not in football, I guess was my question.
Yeah. I like them much more in basketball just because of the way that the game, they pretty much outlaw defense in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
If there was defense in basketball, you wouldn't have had 4 guys this week scoring over 60 points.
I know, right?
Yeah,
it was like.
But I know to answer your question, my prop, one of my favorite prop bets is 10 for 50, and you could tease that lower too with Sam Laporta.
Larry Bird would have averaged about 65 points a game in today's NBA. It would have been sick.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan would have averaged about 90. Tones, what's your favorite prop bet in this one?
Hey, now I'm on the right game, 49ers Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown over in receiving yards. I believe it's around the 85 yard mark. And I think Lions are going to be playing from behind a good majority of this one. So I think they'll have to pass a lot. He's gotten that mark in almost every game he's played. They've let up a lot of yards to every team's number 1 wide receiver. So give me Amon-Ra St. Brown. You win back about even money. I believe it's 84.5. Yep, 84.5 receiving yards. I think that is not free money, but close to it.
Joey?
Yeah, and when I look at this game, one interesting statistic I saw was the Detroit Lions have only played one outside football game since the month of October. And in that one outside football game, they lost to the Bears 28-13. Now, I know the weather's not bad in San Francisco, but that is alarming for a Detroit team who's used to playing indoors. That being said, I think Golf's going to use the running backs more, do that things of that nature. So I like receiving yards over for Jahmyr Gibbs set at 21.5 receiving yards. I think he's going to use his running backs a lot, Golf, and I'm taking the over for Jahmyr Gibbs in receiving.
So if you take Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown, it's minus 335. It's terrible odds. Like, I mean, you're probably going to win, but you're not going to win much, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take Christian McCaffrey to score a touchdown in the first half, though, minus 125. But that's not my favorite one. Who's coming back from injury? Talking all that smack to the media saying, I'm ready. Who do you think they're going to try to get involved in this game early?
Debo.
Plus 200 to score a touchdown in the first half. I love that one.
Yeah, that was part of the prop thing I was doing. That was one of the props on that, too.
Real quick, before y'all got a jam, guys, what is your lock of the weekend, Tones?
Lock of the weekend is going to be a fierce one. I'm going with Brock Purdy over 1.5 passing touchdowns as my lock of the weekend. I believe that's sitting around the minus 150 mark for our line mark.
Okay. Joey, what say you?
I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to say San Fran blows out Detroit. I'm just going to take San Fran and give up the points in that one because
okay.
Yeah, that's going to be my
we'll give you the -7 because it's all over the board right now on all the different books.
Cool.
And I do think it's going to creep back towards Detroit. Wait till everybody loses their ass in the first game.
San Francisco
Lions. All right, guys. We'll see you 2 weeks from today. We'll be doing the Super Bowl show, and then we'll have updates on what the show will look like going forward. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, Steven's jumping in. Bobby's jumping in. We'll be back in a flash here on Goal to Go Radio.
Woohoo!
Brand new for the 2024 Braves Country Radio broadcast season, along with pitch by pitch, play by play, the classic call of Braves Country Baseball. We will bring you a live pregame show and postgame show. Phone lines wide open for you to call, react, or ask your questions along with the chat. That's Braves Country today pregame, Braves Country tonight postgame. We'll see you in 2024. Braves Country, this is Mac McGee with Braves Country Radio. We are bringing you pitch by pitch, play by play of your Atlanta Braves all year long. Please like and subscribe today. It's free, and it helps us bring you more of the game we all love. Braves Country Radio, your home for the classic call of Braves Country Baseball.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today, Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country Baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey, Braves Country, this is Mac McKee with Braves Country Radio. We are bringing you pitch by pitch, play by play of your Atlanta Braves all year long. Please like and subscribe today. It's free, and it helps us bring you more of the game we all love. Braves Country Radio, your home for the classic call of Braves Country Baseball.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say
Everybody grab it out there. Nobody touch it. Just grab it, everybody. Grab.
Welcome to Goal to Go, your sports betting home. All right. Hour number 2. Welcoming in Mr. Stephen Church and Bobby Schneider. Stephen, how the hell are you, sir?
And I am so ready for this weekend of football. These are probably two of the ideal matchups like we could have asked for these championship games. I am ready for it.
Bobby, how are you, sir? Bobby, you're muted, I think. It looks like
You're right. I'm doing well, though. Doing well. I'm looking forward to the championship games, and I'm looking forward to a 49ers loss, hopefully.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So we've been talking about the conference championship games. But before we get going, Stephen, do you have any DFS to talk about?
DFS is going to be pretty simple this weekend. It's try to fit in, you're going to lock Christian McCaffrey into your lineup. Most likely you're going to be locking in Amon-Ra St. Brown. The piece I'm looking at the most, especially with the news of Deebo Samuel playing this weekend, Brandon Ayuk, he's at 6,900 on DraftKings. Detroit is a massive pass funnel. And and especially with having the full complement of pieces back for San Fran, I think Ayuk can go underlooked, and I think he could really blow up the weekend. I think he has a shot of being the highest scoring player all around.
So your goal would be to put Deebo in there. I mean, on the DFS standpoint, considering there's only 2 games, is it a waste to put CMC in there, or do you feel like you have to have him in there and then build from that?
Oh no, CMC is an absolute must. I mean, he projects to score so much more than any other player on the slate. It's just he's one of those players. It's you add him in there and then just find a way to get different. The only way that your lineup is in cash with Christian McCaffrey is if he gets hurt.
So you pretty much have to go CMC and then probably Laporta? Is he the must, or do you veer the other way and go Kelsey?
I really wouldn't say there's a must at tight end this weekend. Kelsey is a little bit price inflated, especially coming off those 2 touchdowns last week. For me, I'm all in on Mark Andrews at 5,000. It's it is his first game back, but he is such an integral part of that offense. And we've seen how good that secondary has been for Kansas City. I think we're really going to see Mark Andrews take over this game and show why he is so important to that team.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get into the prop bets if you don't have anything else on that. Let's start with the Baltimore-Kansas City game. And Bobby, take us to a couple of your one of your favorite prop bets in that game.
My favorite prop bet in this game is Mark Andrews. He's coming back from injury. I think his line's a little bit low because he's coming back from injury. It's at 34.5. I'm going over here. I don't think they'd be bringing him back if he's not fully healthy, ready to go. There was rumors he'd be ready to go last week, but they decided he wouldn't. So I think he's 100% ready. He may not be 100% healthy, but I think he's going to see a lot of time on the field, and I think he'll get 34.5.
Stephen, what say you?
I mean, Bobby just kind of took all the wind out of my sails there. I mean, 34 and a half yards is just like such an egregious number for Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I don't see how you don't just lock that and just just run to the bank with your money.
Unless they have him on a snap count, which is possible, but I don't think they'd be bringing him back for the playoffs on a snap count.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, it's like even with that snap count, it's like his role in the offense, 2 catches, he could be well over that.
Yeah.
Now, in hour number 1, I gave everyone my favorite prop bet, which was Lamar Jackson on an alternate line minus 179 yards passing. And that's going to pay out at a plus 205. Now, his actual passing number, the over under at a minus 115 payout, is right around 210 is what most books have it at. But I'm saying that I don't even think he's going to get to 180 yards because I think they're going to try to take the air out of the ball. I'm going to give you another one. This is a Lamar Jackson one as well. The longest run of the game. If you take Lamar Jackson to just have the longest run of any of the running backs, receivers, whoever, it pays out at a plus 165. And I like that because Pacheco is a guy that normally, he'll take off from time to time, but he's not really known as a guy with that extra, that's going to get into the secondary for a 50, 60-yard gain. Same thing with everybody in Baltimore's backfield. Justice Hill's got some wheels, but he doesn't typically take off for long runs. Everyone goes out, turns their back, and Lamar Jackson takes off, gets a 50-yard run. You can have that in the bag right there. So that's my second favorite prop bet in this game.
I mean, since you mentioned Justice Hill, I kind of see him having a similar role in this game than he had in that Dolphins game, and they really used him as a pass catcher out of the backfield. Right now is the over under on his receptions line is over. It's a 2.5, and I'm getting it at plus 110. I love the over there.
Doug, do you have any other prop bets that you like in this game?
Talking about Christian McCaffrey, I have a risky kind of anti Christian McCaffrey. Even though I think he'll score at least 1 or 2 touchdowns, it won't be on the ground. It'll be in the passing game. I've got a prop bet that he has less than 86 yards rushing the entire game. Or 86.5, forgive me. Detroit's defense is the second best defense against the run in the NFL, and I think they'll contain him on the run, but in the passing game and maybe on goal line sets, he'll get his touchdowns. But he'll have less than 86.5.
All right, let's take a look at the anytime touchdown scores. Some of the lines that are out there on that. You get Mark Andrews at a plus 175. I'm still a little nervous about taking a lot of Mark Andrews stuff because you just don't know what you're going to get after a guy that could have some rust. But around the goal line, I don't hate that. Isaiah Likely is a plus 200. Justice Hill plus 300. Here's one of my favorite ones. And I don't think it would be a called play, but I could see him taking off and going. Patrick Mahomes. Anytime touchdown score. It's not like he's a statue. He's not Joe Flacco, right? Plus 400 anytime touchdown score for Patrick Mahomes. And that could be him just scrambling. It could be a bootleg. It could be a rollout that he just keeps it. I really like that one. And here's another one. You think about that fumble in the middle of the Buffalo game, and McCole Hardman is going to want to make up for that. You know that's got to be eating at him, right? Plus 750 anytime touchdown. That's a wild number.
Yeah, that's insane, especially considering the volume that he was expected to get last week.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of those touchdowns, Odell Beckham is, I don't know what he's sitting at your book, but he's sitting at plus 400 as well, like sitting right next to Patrick Mahomes. And he's one of those players that just, he always
anytime touchdown?
Yeah.
I'm seeing plus 225 for Odell.
Which book are you looking at?
This is the Bovada one. Which one are you on?
Bet Online. Yeah, it's got Mahomes plus 450, and Mecole Hardman at plus 800.
Let's
seeing
see what
Odell
the
at plus 33 or plus 330.
let's see what the legit one is. The one that most folks in Florida are using, the Hard Rock. Let me see anytime touchdowns on the Hard Rock. And we were talking about OBJ, right?
Yeah.
Where is he? Yeah, he's plus 425. Man, that is a terrible line that they're giving people. They normally get
I can see
pretty
him
good
getting
line.
quite a few more looks because L'Jarius Sneed's probably going to be covering Zay Flowers for most of the game, and it's going to be a tough matchup for Flowers. So
The only problem with OBJ is, his over under receiving on most books receptions is 1.5. So let's say he gets 2 catches. You got to hope one of those is in the end zone. That's the only part. But I mean, I don't hate those numbers. I mean, that is wild that there's that big of a discrepancy.
Yeah, and I mean, I know Andrews is back, but I mean, just like 2-3 weeks ago, I mean, Odell was like that number would have been in half, like plus 200.
Yeah.
Like he's had a significant red zone role in this offense for most of the season.
Dalvin Cook plus 600. I'm staying away from that.
Yeah.
I don't even know why his odds are that good.
I mean, he had a good run last week, but I don't think he'll be a big enough focal point of that offense.
Barring injury,
yeah,
I don't see him being the guy that gets the ball at the goal. It's going to be Gus Edwards. And if you're talking about a longer run, my guess would be Justice Hill.
I mean, the only argument you can make for that is Craig Reynolds scored a touchdown last week at the goal line.
That's true.
But I mean, that's like the only argument you can make.
Yeah, that's not real.
I mean, maybe if it's a blowout, they'll give him some run, but I don't think it'll be a blowout though. So.
Yeah, no, I don't think this is going to be a game where they got it wrapped up in the fourth quarter at 34-10, and they're just going to give a dog a bone.
Mm-hmm.
If you thought that, then there's a chance that Dalvin Cook. Let's take a look at the actual rushing numbers.
Well, if it says anything, he's not even being offered a line on BetOnline.
See if he's got one on here. On the rushing numbers you're talking about? Yeah,
at all. Like no rushing, no touchdown, nothing.
I don't see one on here. All I see is the touchdowns. I don't even see an over-under on the numbers. Probably because they couldn't make it low enough to make it worth their while.
Yeah, he's not nothing on Hard Rock either.
I mean, even CEH is on here, and his over-under is 7.5 yards. Pacheco, 63.5, 64.5, depending on what book you're looking at. Justice Hill, 33.5. That one's tempting. Justice Hill over 33.5. So for folks who may not have seen the beginning of the show, went over the conditions it's going to be in these games. San Francisco game is going to be perfect. About 70 degrees is going to be the high, and there's a very light wind. Perfect conditions. Baltimore, it's going to be in the 40s and a 73% chance of rain throughout the entire game. So we're talking about some pretty nasty conditions that could, but by the second half, you could have a sloppy track. And if there's issues holding on to the ball because of the cool air and because of the wetness of the ball, you could see Baltimore just going to the ground game repeatedly.
Yeah.
Going on that logic, Lamar Jackson is plus money to throw an interception. It's plus 120. I kind of like that. I mean, Kansas City's defense has been one of the best, and they're very, very good at not turning the ball over. I could see that paying off. Like I like that at plus money. He's the only quarterback this weekend with plus money to throw an interception.
Yeah, I like that a lot too because, well, that depends on how many pass attempts he gets. This all goes back to I think they're going to run the ball, and I love the plus 200. Was it 205? Yeah, plus 205 under 179 yards for him. You see what we got here. Quarterback yardage props. Here's a strange. Tell me this isn't strange. So the first pass attempt of the game for both quarterbacks. You would think that Mahomes would have greater odds than Lamar Jackson for that to be complete. An incomplete pass for Patrick Mahomes is plus 190. It's plus 225 for Lamar Jackson, which kind of makes sense, right? But to make it complete, Mahomes minus 280, Lamar Jackson minus 330.
Well, Mahomes has Kadarius Toney, so that's a fact.
Right, but you would think so. I guess what I'm saying is you would think the incomplete would be higher than Lamar Jackson. It's not. It's lower. But the complete is a minus 280 to his 330. Like, they don't match up.
Huh.
It's very strange. Receiving, this will be an interesting. Most receiving yards in the game, Rashee Rice plus 180, Mark Andrews plus 180. Now, if I'm going head-to-head on those, I'm taking Rashee Rice.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Kelsey's plus 115. He's the favorite, which shouldn't shock it.
Those odds are kind of confusing because I'm looking at the lines for both their receiving yards. And Mark Andrews is at 34.5, and then Rashee Rice at 59.5. So,
I guess. Well, it's a different skew of it when we were talking about the most receiving yards in the game.
Yeah.
If you want a good long bet on this, just because he's so athletic, plus 650 Isaiah Likely. Because I could definitely see him outgaining Mark Andrews, but he's probably only going to have 2 or 3 receptions.
Yeah.
And you got to hope that. I mean, he had one the other game where the ball was just out of his reach, or it'd have been a 50-yard completion.
Mm-hmm.
I know who I'm not taking, Nelson Aguilar. I'm not trusting that guy to catch anything.
Caught a touchdown last week.
What's that?
He caught a touchdown last week.
He did. But you ask Eagle fans about Nelson Aguilar.
Anytime I see Nelson Aguilar do something, I think of that guy on that Philadelphia News thing. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
I always think about that.
Like, he will always be remembered for that. So that's what I'm saying. I would not trust him whatsoever. Total receiving yards for Justin Hill on your point earlier, Steven. The over-under is 14.5, and it's a minus 120. I kind of like that one. Because if you're going to be having bad conditions, swing passes, screen passes. Yeah. What about you, Doug? You see anything that you're liking?
No, you kind of took sales out of my sails when you were talking about Justin Hill just now. I was itching to bring up that point, that prop bet you just mentioned, because that's part of a parlay that I have, in-game parlay, is that Justin Hill.
Pacheco, total receptions, over under 3.5. If you take the over, you're getting a plus 130. And if they're having issues with the wind and rain and whatnot, man, dump offs and screen passes to Pacheco could be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it.
Hardman minus if he gets 2 catches, you get a plus 155.
Yeah.
I don't think I like that one though. I think he's more likely to do an end around or something. You got to hope one of those catches is one of the jet sweep shovel passes. Doug, before we get sidetracked here, what is your lock of the day?
My lock of the day is with Detroit, San Francisco. Everybody's got San Francisco like they're going to destroy Detroit, and I don't think so. My bet, I would bet against that spread. What is it? -7. I take Detroit +7 in that game. I think San Francisco's going to win, but it's going to be a lot more like when they played Green Bay last week. I think it's going to come down to a field goal in the end.
I'm thinking because of the reason why I'm rolling with San Fran, I don't think Purdy's going to play as poorly as he did in the Green Bay game. And I think a lot of that had to do with the weather. If you look at that wind and that rain, that ball was not coming out of his hands well. And I mean, he was missing wide open dudes. And I just don't think you're going to get that twice. I think some of it was nerves and then some of it was the elements. He finally got it rolling, midway through the second half. But that's why Detroit's a fun story. It'd be really fun to see the Lions in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but
I don't think. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I was going to say.
I was just going to say that I feel like this is one of those bets that over the years I want something to happen, so I lose a lot of money on it.
Gotcha.
As opposed to be smart, take the Lions out of the equation. If you had these two rosters up against each other, put whatever uniforms you want on them. Who would you be betting on?
Well, whenever I want something to happen, I usually bet against it, kind of hedge my bet emotionally.
Well, that's why I was taking against the point spread. I know San Francisco is going to win this game, but I think Detroit's going to – all I'm saying is Detroit's going to give themselves a better account than what people think. I don't think they're just going to absolutely lose it. Another reason I think that too is because with Dan Campbell, one thing that people don't realize, his in-game adjustments as a coach are some of the best I've seen out of a coach in years. He's always in control of his game, and he's always in control of his team. And I think it's one of the reasons why Detroit's been as successful as they have been. So I don't think that Detroit's just going to completely lose it. You see teams like this go in and they just fall apart in the championship series. I don't think Detroit's going to fall apart, but I don't think they're going to win either. That secondary is going to cost them the game.
My biggest thing with that is with Detroit's success, I have to take it with a grain of salt. They got there because they got to play a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that's not one of the better ones they've had over the years. And they were at home. They've had all that going in their right direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest concern. They were at home against Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, and they barely won that game. Now they're going to go on the road. I don't know. I don't think they're going to have firepower.
And that's what I was going to say. That secondary is going to kill them in the end. They can't cover the pass at all. You're exactly right.
All bets are off if Debo goes out there, plays one play again, and goes and freaking my shoulder. I'm done. Doug, what is your walk off for the day?
Let me see. My walk off. My only walk off is I think the one player on Detroit. I hate to harp on Detroit so much, but I think Sam Laporta is going to have a monster. Really, he's going to make a good account of himself in this game. He's going to be an important part of why Detroit keeps this game a little bit close for a while.
All right, brother. Well, we will see you in a couple of weeks getting ready for the Super Bowl show, and good luck to your gambling ways. I'm telling you, Doug, college basketball, you find a team who's down by close to 10 points early on, jump on that money line.
Okay, that's fine. Like I said, I've always been dipping my toes into stuff, and I happen to make a little bit of money, so that's why I brought it up.
And if you're looking for a good litmus test, look at the Ken Palm rankings of these teams. It's usually pretty on the nose as far as what you can expect on the matchups. It's not a perfect science, but it's usually pretty good.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back in a flash. We're going to talk about the NFC Championship game and some more prop bets. We'll give you our locks when we come back. Brand new for the 2024 Braves Country Radio broadcast season, along with pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play, the classic call of Braves Country Baseball. we will bring you a live pregame show and postgame show. The phone lines wide open for you to call, react, or ask your questions along with the chat. That's Braves Country today pregame, Braves Country tonight postgame. We'll see you in 2024. Hey, Braves Country, this is Mac McGee with Braves Country Radio. We are bringing you pitch by pitch, play-by-play of your Atlanta Braves all year long. Please like and subscribe today. It's free, and it helps us bring you more of the game we all love. Braves Country Radio, your home for the classic call of Braves Country Baseball. All right, we are back. Steven, I got to play this for you. Enough time has passed where the salt is out of the wound, but I found this pretty funny, and you being the resident Dolphin fan that we know, I want you to hear this clip. This is in reference to the last time. I can't believe this. When I heard this, the last time the Miami Dolphins won a playoff game, and I can't believe this because I realized then at the time, I was a Miami Dolphin fan at this point. I didn't realize they had not won a playoff game since then. Listen to this.
I want you to tell me which of these is most shocking. The last time the Dolphins won a playoff game, LeBron was a high school freshman. The Knicks were the defending Eastern Conference champions.
That one.
Hold on. The Houston Texans did not exist. Shaquille O'Neal had 0 championships. Tom Brady hadn't been drafted.
Wow.
Nick Saban was still at LSU, and Bill Belichick was in his first season with the Patriots. This is a good one. Metallica filed a lawsuit against Napster. Sony released the PlayStation 2.
Of all those, Steven, what's the most shocking one that jumped out at you?
The one that's most shocking. I don't even know if I want to say it.
What's that?
I mean, okay. Out of those, I'd
Yeah.
probably say the PlayStation 2, but. Yeah, the Twin Towers were still standing the last time the Dolphins won a playoff game.
Bobby, do you even know what Napster is?
Yeah, it was that music streaming site.
Oh,
that
okay. I didn't think you would even know what it was.
Yeah, I have a little bit of knowledge about it, yeah. The most shocking
you
one to
even
me
alive?
was Brady not even being drafted at that point. That's just insane to
Yeah,
think
that
about.
was a wild one.
Yeah.
I think mine realistically though, if I really think about it, it's either the Napster one or it's the Knicks being the Eastern Conference champion. Because that was Latrell Sprewell. That's what that was.
I mean, like hell, the thing was Shaq. I remember when he was in Miami winning like 4th.
Yeah, he didn't mention it, but that was the Spurs' first NBA title. It was the same year.
Jeez.
Man.
Wow. I did not realize the drought had been that long. For some reason, I thought they'd gotten one or two over the last 20 years. I knew they hadn't been to like the promised land, get into the NFC Championship game, that kind of thing. But I thought they'd stumbled around in the wild card or something, right? That's wild.
The last win, I think, was Marino's last season because they got blown out. It was the game that they won to get
that was the Jaguar
into
game.
Jacksonville. Yeah. But
Right.
They lost 63-7. Oh.
The one that I'm thinking of, I believe it was a playoff year, but they must have lost the game. In my head, I remember being on the fence if I was even pulling for them. See, what year was that? Wild card playoff. Oh, it was the following year in 2000. Was the
Fiedler.
Yeah, Jay Fiedler losing to the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
See, for some reason, I thought that was the second. I thought that was the divisional round. I thought they'd won a game to
get to that point. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Something's wrong on that. Because they did win in 2000. So when he was naming that, 1999 was the Knicks championship year. I guess they were talking about they were the current. Okay, I get it. It was right before the next. I think the one that really jumped out at me at the most, like I didn't really think about it, was Shaquille O'Neal had not won an NBA title yet.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Like in 2006, I remember was when he won with the Heat, and that was what his like third or fourth title.
It was his fourth, because he had three-peated with Kobe.
Yeah.
So they won 2000, 2001, 2002, and then I think he was with them maybe one more year, and then they fell apart, and then the Heat grabbed him.
Poor Dolphins.
I'll tell you something else that's wild about that. Just a couple of years later, Ricky Williams was the MVP of the league.
Yeah.
Not of some game. He was the MVP of the league.
Talk about a wasted career.
It was 7 years before Jason Taylor became the defensive player of the year. It was 5 seasons before Nick Saban was the coach of the Dolphins.
We'll talk about that.
Jeez.
I mean, if we're gonna talk about this, like in relation to the playoffs now, I remember a couple of years ago when the Bengals made the playoffs, and they hadn't won a playoff game since like 1990. They went from that to going to the Super Bowl. I think we can almost see history repeat itself with the Lions this year.
It's possible. We're one game away from it.
Yeah, I just don't think Detroit's going to make it, man. I'm pulling for them, but their defense is going to be the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think this is anything, everyone's going to want to point to, because it's what they do nowadays. They're all going to put the blame on the feet of Jared Goff and company, but it's going to be that defense that lets them down.
I think Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle is going to have a field day against that secondary.
There were times last week where Baker Mayfield was carving them up.
Yeah. They're going to draft.
They really need to get to biting some kneecaps if they want a chance.
That nail-biting loss in Dallas looks less and less impressive.
Yeah. Which in hindsight should have been a win, but
it should have. But
still.
Well, in hindsight, if you want to use real hindsight, he should have kicked the damn extra point after he got the penalty. I mean, that was just stupid.
That was one of those puzzling things I saw all season.
I mean, that was one of those things where, what do you got, dinner reservations? Like what? Why does the game have to end right now?
Going for it from the 7? Are you kidding?
Yeah, that was a disaster on his part.
Yeah.
Going for it the first time, he got the play, got called, whatever. After that, man, just kick the damn extra point. Didn't work out.
And then they got bailed out by a call, so moved it back to like the 3 or something, or like 3.5 yard line because half the distance. And they still went for it again. They should have taken it as a sign. Just take the points.
Exactly. Sometimes it is not in your favor. No. Super Bowl MVP odds, if you were to bet on them today, Lamar Jackson is the leader in the clubhouse with plus 220. Really is wild that everyone just assumes they're going to beat Kansas City.
Yeah.
I know they've been dominant.
I'm scared to pick the Ravens just because, man, we've seen the Chiefs just have success in the playoffs year after year, no matter how they look in the regular season. It's scary to pick against them. It's kind of like picking against. It felt like how it was picking against the Patriots in the playoffs with Brady. It's just you don't want to do it.
I made the comparison earlier this week that I remember in the 90s when I would try to tell my friends, dude, don't bet against Jordan. Have you lost your mind? Because all the calls are going to go his way to begin with. Not
True.
to mention he's an extremely talented player and a hell of a drive to win. But he got all the calls.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is going to get all the calls. If you think the NFL doesn't want Taylor Swift sitting up in the deck in the Super Bowl, you're nuts.
I saw
we're going to have
on the
to
field
be better. What's that?
I saw something like
With
this
their
morning
golden boy
on the refereeing, the crew that they have assigned to this game. So no, like normally home teams win 55% of the time. The ref that's covering this game, home teams win 40% of the time under him.
Right. He has I saw a thing where they were breaking it down, and he calls. Now look, it could just be random or whatever, but over the last 3 years he has called more penalties on the home team at a rate of, I think it was 58% of the time of the games that he's done. The crew chief, that's the one I would pay attention to more than anything. I think it might be random, right? But it's still discerning when you go, oh, I'm just going to put all in. Baltimore. Just because a team is due doesn't mean they ever get there.
Yeah, that's true. Look at the Bills.
Look at the Utah Jazz. They were due all during the 90s. They never got there.
Yeah.
I really thought the Bills were winning last week.
I thought I'm never going to pick them to get over the hump. I'm just not going to do it anymore. I would be the year they get past the Chiefs.
I feel like they got a little passive on that final set of downs, and they were willing to just go ahead. I don't know what they were thinking, but they were just willing to go ahead and go into overtime. By the way, if they tie that game up there and the wind doesn't push it, there's still like over a minute left in the game, and Patrick Mahomes has one of the best field goal kickers on the planet.
Yeah, he did it in 13 seconds against them before.
So I just felt like they did a terrible job clock management, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I'm not too big on Sean McDermott. I never have been.
Now, I think he's a good coach, but I think he makes some really bad decisions in game.
Yeah, I want to see the results in the playoffs. I want to see them get over that hump, but they just haven't been.
I got to give them credit. They could have cratered when they were 6-6 at one point this year.
That's fair. Yeah, that is fair. And firing Ken Dorsey did wonders for them. So,
but even with that being said, he's going to have to punch his ticket into the Super Bowl. I don't know if next year's do or die, but it feels like it.
Yeah.
They got to at least get to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
And it's not like Miami's going anywhere, and the Jets are going to have Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. As long as Tua is a quarterback for Miami, I'm not super worried about them threatening the Bills, but Jets could be a problem. Sorry.
If the Miami Dolphins can manage the schedule and get home games in the playoffs, they've got as good a chance of anybody to get to the Super Bowl next year. The problem is he's got to find a way to get wins during the regular season so that they do have the number 1 seed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue
this year.
What's that?
It's not like the home game helped them this year.
True.
They were on the road.
I thought you were still talking about
Kansas
Buffalo.
City. What's that?
I thought you were still talking about Buffalo.
No. No, he was talking about not trusting Tua in the playoffs, and I get that, but I think he's got a much better chance.
I don't trust him, period. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. But
it's Miami's offensive line even this year was just towards the end. I don't think you could have even given any of that offense a real evaluation based on what they had to do.
It could even be worse next year
survive.
because you might be losing Robert Hunt in free agency, so it could even be worse potentially.
I've been a Dolphins fan for my whole life. Like, this offensive line struggle is nothing new. It really can't get any worse. I've seen some bad offensive lines.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way they're doing anything.
And while that's going on in the AFC, Jacksonville won't be as bad as they were this year. I think that was one of those years. Not only did they have injuries, I think Jacksonville kind of smelling themselves coming into this season.
Yeah, they were my biggest disappointment this year. I was very confused by that. I thought they'd be
Houston looks like they're going to be gangbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they're
was my next
probably
thing.
keeping it looks like they're going to keep Bobby Sloak next year too. I don't think he's going to get that Commander's job. And
I think Harbaugh is going to get Justin Herbert figured out.
Yeah. My problem with the Chargers, I think they're going to be I don't think they're going to be too good next year because they're going to have to cut a lot of guys. I think they're like $40 million over the cap limit. So
no, I know, but I'm saying that
talent depreciated.
I wouldn't expect them to do great things in the first year, but I wouldn't put it past Harbaugh. Everyone thinks that Harbaugh is this cheating college coach, and fair enough, he is. But he did pretty damn good with the 49ers. He got ran out because he didn't see eye to eye with the general manager, which was a total disaster by the 49ers at the time. It's worked out now in the long run, but at the time it was a disaster.
Yeah.
And I mean, Herbert's the least of their problems out in Los Angeles. He's been fine. I mean, like the only reason that they've been as competent as they have been is because of Herbert. It's like just that team has been so incompetent because of the coaching and what Brandon Staley was doing there. They're going to get 3 or 4
extra wins, just not going for it on 4th down and 3 on their own 28 in the middle of the third quarter. That right there is going to get you extra wins, man. Just making smart decisions.
I think they'll be like a 7-10 team next year, just because I think Mike Williams is 100% gone. Khalil Mack's probably gone. They're gonna have to make another cut too. They're gonna be pretty lacking in talent because of the cuts they're gonna have to make. But they do
I'm
have
not
the top 5
convinced
pick,
that Denver's going to take a huge step, and I'm not convinced that Oakland or Vegas is going to be much better. So I
hated what the Raiders did this offseason. I think
7-10 seems low for me.
That's fair. That's fair. With how I don't think the Raiders are going to be any good, and I hated what they did this offseason. I don't mind Antonio Pierce as the head coach, but hiring Tom Telesco as a GM was just terrible.
The smartest thing that they can do is trade Devontae Adams and literally rebuild.
Yeah, they don't have much else. Maybe trade Max Crosby too, so you can get a first for him. So I think it's time to tear it down.
Best option.
Do whatever you can to get the future quarterback into your building.
Yeah.
And it's either this year or next year. So if you have to, trade him to a team for next year's or the 2025.
Yeah, I would load up on picks next year because I don't think you're going to be able to move up and get a quarterback in this draft. I think it's going to go QB 1, 2, 3. So
trade him to someone stupid like Carolina. Him. Carolina's stupid. Just trade him. Get their
Justin Fields.
You could have a defensive end, which will help you at 0 point next year when you're scoring 9 points a game. And we'll take your number 2 pick overall, and let's go. The NFC Championship game. Favorite prop bets on that, Steven?
Let me get back to the numbers there. I definitely love like Brandon Ayuk to score a touchdown. Let me just get the number there. Like I don't care if Debo's back. Like he still has the best matchup on the field. They're going to get him the ball. He's overdue to have one of his blow up games. All right, he's sitting at plus 100 right now. I love the number there. I even love going plus 500 for 2 touchdowns. Another one I love is Sam Laporta. He's sitting at plus 160. We saw Tucker Kraft score a touchdown against them last week. And you know that Detroit's going to be throwing the ball heavily.
What was the odds on that?
I think like plus 165. I've seen it up to plus 200, depending on the book you're looking at.
Nice. I like Jahmyr Gibbs to have a nice game. After what we saw from Aaron Jones against the 49ers, if they're able to get to the edge, which run a lot of pitch plays and stuff, and Gibbs is quick. He's good in open space. I think they need to get him the ball, get him outside of the hashes, and if he can do that, I think he's going to have a big day for the Lions. You can get him at plus 120 for an anytime touchdown, and I also like him at over 49.5 rushing yards.
On the flip side there, I like the under on David Montgomery at 44.5.
Yeah.
It's like San Fran is very, very stout up the middle, and he is this is not the game script for him to have a big yardage game and have a lot of usage.
How about mention this in the first hour? Christian McCaffrey, anytime touchdown score in the first half, -125. I like that one. And I like the Deebo Samuel +200 in the first half touchdown. But if you're wanting an anytime touchdown, the Lions have been susceptible in some of these games against the tight end. George Kittle +120.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a good old-fashioned dart throw, I'll tell you what I don't hate in this one is, first of all, Laporta, anytime touchdown +175, you got to like that. But if you're looking for kind of a dart throw, does everyone believe Deebo Samuel is going to play the whole damn game?
Nope.
I think if it's close, if it's a competitive game, I think he'll stay out there.
Let's say he gets banged up a little bit, comes in and out.
That's a very realistic possibility.
Jawan Jennings +350, and they look for him at the goal line.
That's true.
I locked that in 2 days ago. I love it.
Did you? Josh Reynolds +300. I like that one a lot too. This seems like a game where they're going to try to do everything they can to shut down Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're going to try to make sure that the Sun God and Laporta do not, or as I like to call them, the beer. The Sun God and the beer do not beat them. There's going to be an opportunity for Josh Reynolds out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like that connection with him and Goff goes back to Los Angeles. He trusts Reynolds big time. We've seen it the past 2 games in the playoffs. Every time, like we all thought it'd be Jameson Williams stepping up, and it's just been the Josh Reynolds show. I like that. Setting like, what's he at your book? I'm seeing him at +325 for a touchdown.
Here's something else that I love in this one. Right now, his total receiving yards, Josh Reynolds, I'm referring to, 36.5 yards.
Yeah.
What if they do get blown out and it's prevent in the fourth quarter? He can get 36 yards on one drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's 36.5 and Jameson Williams is 28.5. How the hell is Josh Reynolds only 8 yards over Jameson Williams? Jahmyr Gibbs, for that matter, his receiving yards 24.5. I like that a lot better than his rushing total. Because if you're going to have 70 degrees, very little wind, and the over-under is 52 in this game, it's not really spelling like some hard knock slobber knocker.
That's true.
All right, here's a line for you. Jameson Williams over under for rushing and receiving yards combined is at 30.5. With it sitting at they're basically saying that they're giving that rushing at like total at like 1 or 2 yards. I mean, we see him they give 2 to 3 under rounds a game. I mean that number feels egregious.
Here's another interesting one, and this is me playing on the odds that Detroit is down by a few scores in the fourth quarter. Taking Detroit plus 0.5 in the fourth quarter is -105. Meaning they just have to either play even with the 49ers in the fourth quarter or outscore them, and you're getting -105 on that. Because if San Francisco does put this game away, let's say they're up by 17 in the fourth, going into the fourth quarter or whatever, they're going to start pulling starters because the last thing they want is a major injury going into the Super Bowl.
It's true.
And if it is a tie game, I like the idea that Brock Purdy could start getting a little choky in the fourth quarter.
That would make me very happy.
Where are y'all leaning as far as the overall spread on this? San Fran -7, the over under 51.5.
I'd be inclined to take the Lions plus the points. I think they're going to keep it competitive. I think it'll be probably a one position win for the 49ers. There's a chance they run away with this and completely blow them out, but I don't see the Lions just laying down and giving up like that. And yeah, I think the Lions keep it close. I think ultimately though their pass defense is going to be what causes them to lose.
What say you, Steven?
Yeah, I mean this one is a very like I'm stuck on the actual like against like the line itself. I'm leaning that the Lions are going to keep it close, but I think it could be one of those where San Fran could just pull like they could just make it to like 10 points with 4 minutes left in the game. I'd be leaning towards taking the under right now at 50. Was it like 51 and a half? You said.
Yeah.
I forget the exact number, but this season, like when the over under is over like 50 or 51, it hits at like 30% of the time. And I like the under is just like it's been a massive kind of favorite there.
And in most of those games, I would tend to agree with that. I actually saw it went up to 52 on Hard Rock. But man, this just seems like a game that's going to be because of the weather conditions. I know it's a gamble, but the under in that Kansas City Baltimore game before it becomes a thing on the national media, because I've heard nobody talking about this, but I've been monitoring all week long. 40 in the mid 40s with rain all throughout the game and wind 15 to 20 miles an hour. That does not spell like a high scoring ball game to me.
Yeah.
What I think I would prefer to do is take the over in the Detroit San Francisco game, the under in the Kansas City game, and tease them both.
I like that.
Because I'm kind of with you, Steven, that 51 and a half, man, you're right there on the cusp of what you're asking for essentially is 8 touchdowns to be scored.
Yeah.
And that's a heavy dose.
Well, if you're confident in the point total going over, then throw some anytime touchdown bets that we made in there.
Well, one thing to keep in mind is you have a Jared Goff not in a dome, and that is where he has been at his best. I mean, by a significant margin the past 2 years.
You could have a 27-24 game, a shootout, and still not hit the over. That's how crazy that is. What I think I really like on the under is that first half under 25 and a half. That's a high over. That is really high. What you're asking there is 4 touchdowns to be scored. And you know what normally happens, the first drive for both teams is usually the most impressive, and then they make the adjustments, and then they come out and kind of middle around and piddle around. The next thing you know, you're going towards halftime and it's 13-7. You're like, what the hell was I doing, man? Why did I take the over?
Yeah, they'll come out with that first scripted drive, and then after that starts to
all falls
like it'll start out 7-7. You think, it's going to be a high scoring game, and then at halftime it's like
10-7.
Yeah.
What is your lock of the day, Bobby?
My lock of the day, it's a little bit of a weird one. It's a prop bet. I have Justin Madubuike. He's second team All-Pro, the defensive lineman for the Ravens. I have him over 1.5 solo tackles at -125. He's had 2 or more solo tackles in 10 games this year, including last round. And the weather's going to be ugly, so I think the Chiefs are going to run the ball a lot more. And Joe Thuney, he is out for the Chiefs, their best guard. So I think this is a good game for Madubuike to go off, and I think he'll do just that.
Steven?
I've been going back and forth on this. I really wanted to take the over on the Mark Andrews receiving yards. No, actually, I'm going to take the over on it. I think it's still at 34 and a half. Mark Andrews over. Just get the official number. Mark Andrews over 35 and a half receiving yards. I think he comes back with a vengeance. I was leaning the other one. I was leaning towards.
I'm showing 34 and a half. So we'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that number.
I'll take it. The other one I was close on was the under on David Montgomery's rushing at 44 and a half.
My lock of the day is going to, man, it's really hard for me to go against this. Give me Kansas City +4. There's just, how do you not take Patrick Mahomes to stay within a field goal? I will gladly be wrong, but I just, man, they just
Yeah,
game
I'm
on the
so scared to
line.
pick the Ravens. I really am. I have a gut feeling it's going to be a Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl, which is
They
kind
could,
of a no-brainer for me,
they
but-
could be up 10 with 2-3 minutes left, and still Mahomes is going to find a way to get a touchdown, and they're going to be going for the onside kick at the end.
Yep.
I feel like
why
this
I locked
game
it in at 2.5 earlier this week.
This game feels like a 23-20 type of ball game. I'll take the 4 points. I'm really surprised that it has not gone the other direction. All right, guys, we'll see you next week, or not next week, but Super Bowl week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back 10 to noon. Great job, and good seeing y'all again.
Good seeing you. Glad to be back.
Yep. Good luck.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grab it out there. Nobody tackle. Just grab it, everybody. Grab. Nobody tackle.
Welcome to Goal to Go, your sports betting home.